Troubles and rock with me. You don't feel like reggae music sweet. Yeah, yeah. Everybody wanna feel like me. Having the troubles and rock with me. You don't feel like reggae music sweet. Yeah, yeah. Troubles and rock with me. You don't feel like reggae music sweet. Yeah, yeah. Everybody wanna feel like me. But when your troubles and rock with me, you don't feel like reggae music sweet. Check. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ewan Simpson. I'm chairman of the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association. And I'm just apologizing for the late start. We are working through a few technical matters because we have some important information that we need to share on screen. And so we're trying to get that connection working. We should hopefully have that up in another 2 minutes or so, and then we will officially commence. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I believe after that textured musical prelude from the amazing students of this institution, I think it's an appropriate way to start. So let me first welcome everyone to this second Jaria Reggae Open University for this season, for this Reggae month. The first one we had was last week at Church Teachers College, and It is good to be here after an amazing evening of celebration of Jimmy Cliff on Jimmy Cliff Boulevard yesterday. And of course, your students, Sir Principal, were excellent in their presentation, so give them a round of applause. And since I have directly referenced the principal, let me acknowledge him, Dr. Ricardo Bennett, the principal of this august institution, Sam Sharp Teachers College. Let me also welcome all the students who are not Sam Sharp or Edna Manley students who are here with us. And I will allow you, for once in this discussion, to shout the name of your schools. You may go ahead now. Wow, they're so polite and quiet. Shout the names of your schools. All right, fine. It is clear that they are not proud of their schools. Yes, I see some people with some epaulette that look familiar, Tadipi. Yeah, and they're not shouting the name of that school? And, yeah? Huh? Oh, okay, now we hear some people. Now we hear some people sound like they're here, right? So we know we have Herbert here. Who else do we have here? Oh, me hear the 1-2 more than the name of the school. But it is good to have St. James High here. Do we have any other institutions here with us? You know, I consider myself to have very good hearing, but it is not supersonic. So you may have to speak a little more loudly. Is there another institution here? Anchovy High. Welcome, Anchovy. Who else do we have? All right, well, I guess not everybody wants to be acknowledged, so that's fine. So let me then take us to our panel, because Jaria Reggae Open University is intended to be an educational space and a conversational space where we bring persons with different perspectives to share on topics that we believe are important. Today, our topic for discussion is publishing, rights, and royalties. Who owns reggae? And so our distinguished panel for this afternoon begins to my immediate right with Mr. Othniel Taddy P. Campbell, who is a musician. Give him a round of applause. He's a producer, he's a recording artist, and he is producer-director at the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association. So give him another round of applause. Miss April McIntosh, the rose between the two thorns, because I'm not a thorn. Miss April McIntosh is an entertainment executive. She's an artist manager and an artist development specialist. She's also CEO of Niche Entertainment, and she's education director at the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association. Give her a round of applause. And your fully homegrown and owned Mr. Tien Robinson, who is lecturer in English language and linguistics right here at the Sam Sharp Teachers College. Now you see how them biased, right? But that's all right. We don't mind. You're supposed to own him. You're supposed to own him. So the conversation will flow. We will allow you opportunities, of course, to participate in the conversation. But before we go there, I also want to acknowledge sitting with us and traveling with us today, Jaria Vice Chairman, who is a musician of great repute in his own right, having performed with everybody from Dennis Brown to the Melody Makers to Lloyd Parks and We the People Band to Jimmy Cliff, etc. Mr. Everall Stingray. And so we start at the beginning of the question, who owns reggae? But I'm going to ask, and please take your microphones because I want you to be able, panelists, to be able to respond. You have 2 microphones there, yes? So, yes, April definitely gets one. You know? We'll see. I know you're very curious about many things in the entertainment industry, but let's start the conversation here. When a reggae song is streamed, or licensed in a film, or played on radio, who gets paid? Is that a question you've ever asked yourself? Who gets paid? Ms. McIntosh, who gets paid? Taddy P is going to support you on it, you know, but let's start with you.
Well,
Yeah. Yeah.
all right. So who gets paid depends on you, the artist, and who you're allowed to get paid. Who gets paid boils down to who is registered. Between your split sheets and your publishing and your splits, yeah. On the composition side, but I definitely always start with, because of the development in me, who you actually register, yeah, as a part of the creative process. But on the back end of that, depending on if you're registered with distribution companies, other individuals or other companies may end up being a part of that payment structure. But ideally, it is your musicians, your producers, your writers, whoever is involved in the writing process. Yeah.
All right, so because we want to dive in a little more, I'm going to ask Taddy P to answer these specific questions for me. Can anyone actually own reggae? And what is the difference between owning a genre, which is what reggae is, and owning a song?
Yeah. Yeah. Can anyone own reggae? I actually don't think so.
Okay.
For the reason be when I look around the world, traveling around the world, I see different people from different places just recording reggae, performing reggae, becoming superstars doing reggae. So I always ask the question, how come them just have the opportunity to just do that so without without some consequence or something?
So then the conversation is,
Yeah.
there is some sort of issue with cultural ownership, because we want to say reggae belongs to Jamaica.
Yes.
But we also want to say that there is a difference between cultural ownership and legal ownership. And so Jamaica clearly doesn't own it legally, but culturally and philosophically and so on, we can say it belongs to us. We can claim it because it started here.
Yes.
So then, how do we determine legal ownership? I know April started by talking about who was registered and what happens on the split sheets and so on. Why is legal ownership important, Taddy P?
Well, legal ownership is important, I think, because the people who somehow, I don't know if it's you would call it stumble into it or created it from scratch, and then, all right, let me give you an example. They say musicians love to play music and have a passion for music, but we always never think about the business side. So you would have musicians just in their vibe and in their, creating the music, and you have a businessman just come and just register everything and then end up owning the thing. And musicians wake up later and getting old, broke, poor, and the businessman get rich off of it. So it's kind of the same scenario with reggae for me.
So, thanks, Nadipi. So, Mr. Robinson, do you find that in the discussions around, because yes, we're talking about reggae, but I know you are a linguist and a language specialist and all of these things. Do you find that your students and your colleagues are aware of the intellectual property matters that surround writing and artistic literary creations? Do they even know what intellectual property is generally?
Not necessarily. An idea, because it's knowledge, it's information, so it's out there. But in depth, no. That's not something that we would just take up. A topic we'll just discuss if it doesn't concern us immediately, right? So no, if you are not within the industry, you're not necessarily going to know. But even people in the industry still don't know
That is true.
what intellectual property is, right? And that's why when Tadipi said, when a man just, musicians vibing and a man just come and say, oh, I could register a group here and, you know, make it a business and make some money off of it. He's the one that gets the money and he distributes whoever, right? He's the one that owns the music. Exactly, which is the intellectual property. The lyrics, the composition, he owns it all. Because we don't know. It's not something that is taught in our education system when it comes down to whether in primary school, we're not teaching social studies or civics, in high schools, in the music program, Sstc music or the general music program there, we don't necessarily teach we teach instruments and notes and all of that, but we don't teach the business of music. So when it comes down to intellectual property, we don't know. And it's more than just music, it's everything that we own in our space, in our cultural space. So it's not something readily known.
Well, I appreciate that. And so we're going to solve some of that right now, right? We're going to solve some of that right now. My director of education is happy that we will educate even as we have frank and open conversations. But one of the things I want us to appreciate as students and teachers and administrators in the education space is that every single day we interact with intellectual property. Every single day. If you're wearing a brand, you're interacting with intellectual property. If you're wearing the crest of your school, you are interacting with intellectual property. If you're listening to any sound recording on any device that you have, you're interacting with intellectual property. If you're playing live music, you're interacting with intellectual property, whether you created it or not. You're interacting with intellectual property. If you're wearing someone's design, whether it is in shoes or hat or blouse or shirt, you're interacting with intellectual property. Because intellectual property is the tangible manifestation of the creative imagination. If your mind conceives an idea and you are able to transform that idea into something that someone else can experience, in reality, you have converted an idea into intellectual property. So if it is a love letter, once it stops being a feeling and it becomes writing, whether it is a voice note or it is text, it is intellectual property. Everybody understands what I'm saying? And so whether you plan to sell it or not, it is intellectual property. So we're clearing that up for everybody from now. Good? It does not have to be in the context of music. If you journal, you are creating intellectual property. And I know that a lot of ladies in particular like to journal. But men journal too. And when they're not journaling, they're writing down plans or sharing information. Anything that moves from your mind into tangible form qualifies to be intellectual property, especially when it is clear that it is original. Yes? The originality. So tell them about the originality, Mr. Robinson. What makes it original?
I'm going to speak in the context of education.
Yes.
Right? We ask you to write an essay. Right? And you write the essay. And for you, you think the idea, how you respond to the essay is novel. It's new. So you choose not to go and find sources to see if anybody else out there would have written about this particular thing. When it's a poem, as we say, when it's a poem, when it's a love letter, where you may have poems that sound similar, but how it is composed, how it is penned, that's different. It's penned from your words, from your understanding, from how you feel. That's original. That's what original is. It didn't necessarily come from something that you read and you want to replicate. But when you write and the idea is out there already, in the case of the essay, and you don't acknowledge who came up with this idea before, who wrote about this topic, whatever it is, then you are not producing an original work. It has to come, you think it's coming from you, but it's really and truly not necessarily coming from you. But when it's a creative work, I'm skeptical in saying when it's a creative work, because a lot of the times we hear something and we go and we create something and we realize that in our consciousness it has been done as something where we hear already why we're writing about this. Right? But when it's original,
I'm with you.
It's even hard to even explain.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you. So let me elaborate on that a little bit as well. And Taddy P will tell you. There are times when it is dangerous to fall asleep with your radio at your bedside. Mm-hmm. Because you wake up in the morning with a song in your heart. And especially those of us who are Pentecostal, we will say the Lord has laid a melody on our heart. When in truth, it was the song that was playing at 1 in the morning while you were in that particularly sensitive mode of sleep. And that melody, you might not remember the lyrics, but that melody will be stuck in your subconscious. And you get up the next morning and you put lyrics to it. And you show up at the People's Original Song Competition or at the studio and you tell people you created this melody. When in fact that melody was implanted in your brain because of something you heard. Then that melody becomes a song. It is produced and it is sent to a radio station or to a TV station or to an advertising agency. And suddenly somebody says, that melody is not original. And you say, no, I've never heard any song with that melody before. And then they play a song for you that is 25 years old. 25 years old, and that was at #1 on the charts, even in Jamaica. But because usually you're asleep at 1 o'clock when the radio playing that song, you didn't realize because it was not in your conscious mind. Originality is important. Now they say nothing is new under the sun. But originality is important because it is how you arrange existing notes, lines, phrases that determines originality. So we need to bear that in mind. Remember, when you're writing a love letter, unless you're quoting Shakespeare or Chaucer or whomever it is, right? Oh, yes, Wordsworth. Unless you're quoting them directly, if you're describing the world around you in your own words, you are likely to be original. Yes? So it is important for us to appreciate that you can use existing words, you can describe existing things, but it is in the newness of that combination of words and phrases that you get originality. The same thing is true musically. There's a limited, finite number of notes in certainly Western music. And it is how you choose to arrange them in the sequence and the speed and the you know, how quickly we go from one note to the next, what is the length and duration of the notes. These are all the things that make the difference to what is original. And if you put original lyrics on someone else's rhythm or on someone else's melody, you do not have an original work. Yes? Remember, the song is composed of lyrics and melody. Good, and musical support. Good, that is what gives you a sound recording of a song. So you have to bear that in mind when we're thinking originality. But we're going to take it a little further. But before we take it a little further, I have lost my technical support. No, I have not. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Clavia Simpson, who leads our marketing charge. And she's going to share something with us online. I think something from the Administrator General. And it is going to take us into a very interesting discussion about ownership.
Anytime I hear when I hit something, my heart break over again. I'm a vexed too. You never even have nothing in place. They collect money for every time the music play. They not even have a will. And now your family then turn him back on the twins and say, I shall keep me give you. But can't even buy a proper show. You pick me there.
My dear, all is not lost. The Administrator General's department can help track down everything when they left, including him song them will play on radio and TV and stream all over the world on all of the platforms. Them. Don't worry about the money from the song them. They will collect every dollar and manage it for the children. Then pay school fee, buy lunch, take care of them till them turn 18, and after that, then get the balance to start them life.
What if your mother try to block it?
Is fee named upon the kids' birth paper?
Yes, of course.
You don't have a thing to worry about. I'm morning bright and early with going to the Administrator General.
Deadlift includes intellectual property like songs, art, and books which continue making money even after the owner dies. For more information about how the Administrator General's Department manages intellectual property estates, visit our website at www.agd.gov.jm or our Kingston office at the Office Center building located at 12 Ocean Boulevard, or the Montego Bay office located on the second floor of the NHT building at 42B Union Street. You may also call our landlines at 876-922-18303 or 876-618-1542. If you prefer, WhatsApp us at 876-552-0054 or send us an email at admingen@agd.gov.jm.
Well, did that create interest in you? Is that interesting? Yes, because deadlift is a big thing in Jamaica, you know. Yes, deadlift is a big thing. So, very often, people don't appreciate that songs, writings, as I mentioned before, are part of your estate. It's a part of your intellectual property. Taddy P, you share with us some of the some of the mistakes, some of the misperceptions that musicians have that cause them not to do things like create wills. Wills. By the way, everybody know what a will is? Everybody know what a will is? Okay, good. Because a will, for those who don't know and don't want to say they don't know, a will is a document that indicates the wishes of someone as they would like it to be carried out after they die. So a will is what you intend to happen to your possession, which is called your estate, after you die. If you own anything, and by the way, we don't own people, let me just make that clear. If you own anything, you should make a will.
Yeah, I think a lot of us living here, we don't think about those things because we don't think about death. And until it really hit home, till somebody close to us die, and then we see all the run up and down and the bad mind and all them something they are going. But we don't readily think about the desire or the consequence it might have when we're gone, and the importance of making that will. Especially until maybe we have children of our own.
And even sometimes when we do.
Yeah.
So what also happens is that we don't appreciate what we own, and we don't appreciate how what we own can be passed on to other people. Yes? So, April, help us a little bit. When we talk about ownership of copyright, what really do we mean, and what can owners do? What are the rights of owners? First of all, one, is ownership of copyright something that dies with you when you die?
No.
If it doesn't die with you, how long does it last? And what happens with it? Based on what the video said, the Administrator General, which deals with estates after you die, has the right to do things and collect. So let's dive into that a little bit more.
All right, so when you die, let's say you don't have your affairs in order. You don't have things registered, you don't go through the proper channels and have the necessary things that you really should have to make the process easier. As the video said, the Administrator General would execute or procure that information and then lay it out afterwards. However, your things like your birth certificate is very important. So if you have a specific family member or relative that you trust enough to be able to have a copy of that, for example, it's always wise to have more than one copy, because in the case that they can't find yours after your death, that makes the process also a little bit lengthier. In terms of how long it lasts after your death, it is for as long as your music is being collected for. If your music is being played for 20, 30, I think it goes up to 70 years after your death. In Jamaica?
Yes, Jamaica is a world leader. It is now 95
That's right,
years.
as we should. You're right. So I would definitely say that it is. I know Taddy mentioned earlier, especially for musicians. In my development, what I found is that nobody thinks about it because nobody actually accepts that death is coming. Yeah, we always want to live forever, and we take it day by day. And as Jamaicans, we know that, so we do things. We rarely plan for nothing. But planning when it comes to your business and your estate is very important. Put a plan in place, and over the years, you update that plan as life goes on. Yeah, things change. So you don't want to. Some of us, I know artists that have 12 children, and none of them can get $1 out of them dead left
Yes.
because there's nothing in place to set up that infrastructure, right? So you're young and you have quite a future ahead of you. Keep it in the back of your mind always. And as you grow and as you develop, make sure that the business side of your what will be your estate is in order.
So thanks, April. So we're making a case because we're using deadlift as the last resort end of it. But there is a lot of slip between the cup and the lip before we get to even dead. Bear in mind, let us just make it clear, once you have created a work of copyright, whether it is literary or artistic, so whether it is music or film or spoken word or poetry, writing, right? So once it is in the literary or artistic field, if it is sculpture, if it is painting, if it is photography, the fact that you created it, even without registration, means it is yours. But if you create it in collaboration with somebody else, then you have joint ownership. If that joint ownership is not discussed and written down with clarity, then what you end up with is a problem. So you and your friend and your classmate and your teacher come together and write a song. And because you write the song with the teacher, or because your classmate is the one that have the computer, suddenly the classmate in his or her mind believes that it belongs to them. These are the things we need to figure out. Who came up with what? Did we do this together? Then you have the other side where two people are sitting down and working on something diligently. And then somebody walks up and says, "I no saw it for name. That name then I'll go sell off. Call it this instead." And then they claim that they were co-creators of the work. You have poachers like those. So you have to think about it carefully. What is a substantial contribution to it? That is how we start a conversation about ownership. So Taddy P, you in the studio, and you're working hard on something for weeks, and somebody walks in and say, "That bass line is too slow." Yes? Stingray, you know of a story where somebody was creating something and somebody just say, "Speed it up, man." That's a story of a very famous Jamaican sound recording. That's how it started. Somebody was playing around with something, came up with some melodies, did something on a Casio keyboard, and took it to the studio. And somebody said, "Speed it up. Just add 2 beats per minute more on it." And the person who made that recommendation claims that they were part of the creation of this work. And that has been written down in history, that there is now a great effort to clarify. These things are important, yes? But you spoke about, and we clarified 95 years. Why is it important, Taddy P? Your sin of artists suffer, your sin of artists, them days are behind them when they're making hits, they're not making none no more. Why is all of this protection of life plus however many number of years important in the ownership of copyright?
Yeah, man, it's very important because, as you said before, I've seen so many artists pass on and they're asking around, what them call a new thing? GoFundMe to bury them and stuff. And when you check the landscape, they have a legacy of work out there. But them can't claim because they never do the right thing from day one, which is register. and put them claim behind them work. And then I know of another situation where this artist, a mentor artist, have a bag of work when do from back in the day, and on drugs, broke, not now go on fame. And a famous group take one of the song and cover it. And then in a broke state, in a down stage, him get a call. Boom. Song record, song produced, song released, start make money. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, this man, when I have nowhere to turn, he's a rich man from one song, from a work that he did back in the day. That only happened because he did register it. You understand? Very famous story, a man from Montego, he's a Trini, but he resided, he just died. Lord Creator. Yes. Yeah, Kingston town from UB40. Yeah, real story. So if him never register and put in him thing, him wouldn't be able to claim that.
I hope you're understanding the importance, therefore, of ownership in copyright. Ownership. And you can begin to own right now. How? By creating. Once you are creating, you own. Now, to secure that ownership is the next step. And you secure that ownership in several ways. The Copyright Act of Jamaica does not require you to do registration. But there is a Deposits Act that we have that requires you to make a deposit of works of copyright with the National Library. That, by the way, is a very simple form of registration. So if you make a deposit, it exists, it sits in the National Library, just like how everybody used to talk about the Library of Congress, and everybody wants their work in the Library of Congress. Well, the National Library of Jamaica is our Library of Congress. And you can make a deposit of your copyright works there, and that serves as a notice to the world. So that when other people come, and when the conversations start, like conversations that Clevie is now having with reggaeton, and when those conversations about who owns what in terms of sound recordings start, there is a place. Remember, the faintest pen is better than the sharpest memory. The faintest pen is better than the sharpest memory. So even though the law does not require you to register it, when it is put down in writing, when it is registered somewhere, then even after your death, or if you become incapacitated, you spoke about Lord Creator and his incapacity to some extent because of drugs. There are those of us who could have other incapacitation, whether you lose your memory because of an accident, or you get sick and you end up in a coma, or there are so many artists who are just not well and not able to carry on any business. Then somebody goes and finds a work that you did 25 years ago, but you didn't tell anybody that you registered it. Because you work by yourself and you work in studio and you don't have no friend and you don't really deal with people. And it is not written anywhere. But the song is released. And somebody is now exploiting it. It is important that you should have registered it so that it will benefit. If you are ultimately selfish, not just those who come after you die, but it will benefit you while you are alive. Yes? It also has the option of becoming collateral. Everybody know what the word collateral means? Collateral is that which, in the context of banking, that which the lender holds as a security for the money they will lend you. And if you have a sufficiently large catalog, like what Taddy P is building, yes, what a Sean Paul has, what a Dennis Brown has, what a Gregory Isaacs has, what a Bob Marley. I mean, Bob Marley's estate is the ultimate case study. But what a Beres Hammond has created, what a Buju Banton has created, you have that kind of catalog. You might well be able to place that catalog in the hands of a financier who will then say, I will lend you $3 million against this, so that you can outfit a proper studio or build a performing arts center or something to that effect. I want us to bear that, to bring that to our mind when we're talking about who owns reggae and who owns what. Yes? So think about it. But there is also another side to this ownership. Because when you own something, the story is told of a man in France who went into a restaurant and heard his music being performed. And nobody had asked him permission, and nobody had paid him any money for his music to be performed. So he ordered as much as he could eat and as much as he could drink. And when he was finished and they brought him the bill, he said, give the bill to the owner. Tell them to deduct it from what they owe me for my music that is being played. Now that worked once. But then he went to several other restaurants and his music continued to be played, and he found that he could not eat and drink enough to get the value that was owed to him. Thus was the birth of something called performance rights organizations. April, why? Why are performance rights organizations necessary?
Necessary because it's beyond time for us to wake up and recognize that as performers, as musicians, as entities within the entertainment and musical space, we need to protect ourselves. For years, and I mean long before you guys were probably born, we've been taken for granted. We've been pushed aside, we've been used, our music has been exploited in many ways. I think the younger generation also would have seen and experienced fusion music, which has been a combination of, so like reggaeton, which is a combination of reggae and Latin music, sorry. Or dancehall, right, thank you. That can only happen when not just our intellectual property, but also the base of our music bed is being exploited in other ways or other spaces, yeah? And the truth is, back then, though we had management teams, our management teams were not educated enough at that time to really manage with the right set of expertise our creatives in the industry, yeah? So I for one, I'm very happy that we actually do have a performance rights institution, or institutions, I should say, that protect us and look out for us. But the onus is on us as well to make sure that we stay up to par in terms of knowledge, and also to just keep the industry is ever evolving. I can tell you that I've been in the business, I won't say for how many years, because you're going to say, go, but I've been in the business for more than approaching 2 decades. And I can tell you, I'm still learning. I'm still learning with all of the changes over the years. You just have to be invested enough and practical enough about what you're doing and what you're trying to accomplish and stay in the know. There's no one person in this business that can tell you that they know everything. It's not possible.
Thank you, but what we know is that a performance rights organization, one of the performance rights organizations in Jamaica is JCAP. And they actually have membership on the board of JAREA. We have something from them for you to listen and watch. Does that ignite anything in anybody? This tells you about some of the ways that people earn. See, these are artists who write, who produce, and they're saying you need a license for the use of their music. But while we digest that, I'm going to ask the performers to prepare to play shortly. Yes? I'm going to ask the performers to prepare to play shortly. But, Sir Robinson, we talk about all this collection. Yes? Give us an idea, from your perspective, of the different ways that performers benefit when they are signed up to membership of rights organizations.
I'm going to say like no. When the musicians are going to play and the singers are going to sing, yes, that's one way. Because it's important to get permission to use the intellectual property of somebody else. Mm-hmm. When we have events, when music is being played in movies, recently you can hear a lot of Jamaican music, reggae music being played in international films. Mm-hmm. That is a way you can, when you sign up with these organizations, we can make money from our intellectual property, from our music. The example you gave with the music being played in the bar, it being played in commercials, right? It being played on the air, on radio. It's been played on platforms, Spotify and YouTube and the other platforms. Once you sign up with organizations and your music is being played in these settings, those are opportunities. Those are monetary opportunities. Where else is there?
Yeah, man. No, those are in fact amazing opportunities. Taddy P, you have a few more. As a producer yourself.
When we tour, like a lot of these venues always come and ask us for our set list. And initially, I used to wonder why they want to know. Until, you realize that these venues have to pay these agencies to perform the music. Yeah. So that's one other way. Yeah.
Indeed. So, once you create or perform, there is a possible stream of income. Once you create or perform, there is a possible stream of income. It is important, and I'm saying this before the performers perform, right? there's a possible stream of income. And that is why we have jams, and that is why we have JCAP. And if you don't know much about jams or JCAP, you need to research it. Because jams protects a whole different set of rights, including the rights of performers. And JCAP protects a whole set of rights, including the rights of creators. So the producer is not considered necessarily a creator, but he's the owner of a sound recording. And that is one side. Whenever a work, which we call a work of intellectual property or a work of copyright, or we will call it an article, a song, or a musical piece, or creative piece, whenever that is exploited, the income goes in two separate directions. There is the owner share, and then there is the producer share. So it's split. One piece go to jams, and one piece go to JCAP, if you are registered. We're going to go to another video, and at the end of that video, we will hear from the amazing performers of Sam Sharp Teachers College / Edna Manley College West. Am I correct? Excellent.
Make the Reggae Industry Association proudly presents Reggae Month 2026 under the powerful theme Rhythms of Resilience. For the entire month of February, Jaria celebrates the culture, the sound, and the spirit that continue to shape Jamaica's rich musical heritage. And we're starting strong. From February 1 to 6, here's what's coming up in week 1. We open on Sunday.
February, Reggae Month. The Jamaican Reggae Industry Association invites you to celebrate with us. Rhythms of Resilience is how we celebrate in 2026. So visit us at Doria Entertainment on Instagram and Facebook. Come to www.doria.com and you will find all the events that we are either producing or that we are endorsing for the month. Celebrate our entertainment industry, our diamond, our gold, our heart.
I'm gonna walk away from love. I'm gonna walk away. No, no, no. You don't love me, and I know now. No, no, no. don't love me, and I know now. Cause you left me, baby. I ain't got no place to go, boy. No, no, no. You don't love me, and I know now. especially the rubber. So can we fall in love like we did before? So love ain't perfect, so much that we've been through, giving up ain't worth it. So come make me get stronger with love. I tell you, said the loving that we got it never now. My liquid sent from above. Remember when we spoke of thick and thin, we were preparing for these days when we had to seek comfort in each other's faith. In this love we got, tell me what you're speaking of. Living what? No, I don't believe in that. Can we fall in love like we did before? So can I show you how much I adore you, babe? Don't make me just fall in love. I know I love my style, especially the so can we fall in love like we did, baby?
They call it murder. Out in the streets, they call it murder. So welcome to Jamrock. Camp when the thugs them camp back. A 2 pounder within a 1 bag. Inna your handbag, your knapsack it inna your backpack. Smell like your girlfriend can. No for them don't know this. Them only go around like tourists on the beach with a few club sodas, bedtime stories. I post like them name Chuck Norris. I don't know the real hardcore Cassandra's and no back to the thugs. Them we do what them got to, and won't think twice to shot you. No make them spot you unless you carry guns a lot too. I be a tough things come. I'm saying trench down the man stop off and block off traffic. Then them real and pop off and them start clap it. With the pin file down and it a beat rapid. Police come in a jeep and them can't stop it. And some say them a player, but them a player boy habit. A funny man a get dropped like a bad habit. So no matter act tough if you don't got it. Rastafari stands alone. Welcome to Jamrock. Welcome to Jam. Out in the streets they call it murder. Out in the streets they call it murder.
Keep the applause going for these amazing performers. And we want to acknowledge again your principal, Dr. Ricardo Bennett, for his outstanding work and leadership. We are still here with Jaria Reggae Open University, and we are having an amazing discussion with Dr. T.N. Robinson. Well, not doctor, all right, fine. You will get there soon. You see, I pulpit I'm head. I'm speaking prophecy over you, brother. Mr. T.N. Robinson, lecturer in language and linguistics. Ms. April McIntosh, entertainment executive, artist manager and CEO of Niche Entertainment, director of education, Jaria. Mr. Othniel Taddy P. Campbell, musician, producer, artist, and producer director at Jamaica Reggae Industry Association. My name is Ewan Simpson, and I'm chairman of the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association. And I'm happy to be guiding this conversation because it is a critical conversation. The performers just performed, and they performed songs that are popular for you because these songs are brought to you through airwaves, through streaming, through movie soundtracks, through all of these different routes. These routes all have the potential for revenue. These routes all have the potential for revenue. And different people earn along the way. Taddy P, the producer, earns. What are the ways that producers earn? What are the ways that producers earn?
Yeah, can I speak to a song as a whole, right?
Yes, yes.
It's supposed to be 50% for the writer and 50% for the producer, right? So if a three of you write the song, 50% split, right, sir?
Mm-hmm.
Likewise with the production. So the producer earns once you register the song as a producer, once it's been streamed, performed. Yeah, that's how you get your revenue, the 50%. And then you have what you call ASCAP, BMI, those societies, and then you have the societies that collect for streaming, which is like Sound Exchange. Yes. So, for example, I did a song with, I like to give examples. I did a cover song with A.J. Brown. And of course, a cover song, so I don't own it. And somebody would say, I don't want to do a cover song because I'm not going to make no money off it. You understand? So, yeah, you won't make no money from because you didn't write it, but you can make money as a performer. So, Sound Exchange now collect money for the performers. So, my Sound Exchange, I'm happy for people like Sound Exchange. We can make some money from a cover song, you know?
So you're saying then that it is not just the creator, it is not just the writer that is earning from a song, and the performer earns from a song, the producer earns from a song. And then the song could go on to be licensed to do so many other things, and there are people along that chain of interaction that can also earn from it. So whether they are distributors or they are agents of different kinds, the thing with a song is that it is transportable. It is property that can be in multiple places at the same time. It is literally omnipresent property. So a song can be in Japan, climbing the charts, while it can be on TikTok, earning a whole different set of revenue, while it can be in gaming, earning a whole different set of revenue, while it can be licensed to somebody to be doing it in Spanish or Swahili or Russian. It can be in a movie as a soundtrack. it can be converted to musical notes and text in a book on education. And I'm challenging the people who are into music education to start to create books that teach musical principles, music theory on Jamaican content. Yes? That is a whole nother stream of intellectual property. And those writers earn again. Jaria had last week a show, our Reggae Wednesdays last week was back to bases. And we had 6 bass players who have given so much to Jamaica's musical landscape, performing live on stage the bass lines that they played originally. So we need to think about that and go there. But we're winding down the conversation, but I want to hear from each of my panelists. What are the ways that you believe royalties leak? Jamaican music is played all over the world. Jamaican music is very popular till it all become reggaeton, but it also became hip-hop and it became many other things. Music is borrowed and sampled and shared all over the place. If Jamaican music is so popular, why do you believe that Jamaicans who have created this music are not benefiting economically from it? Don't all begin together.
I'm going to put part and then April can put part and then Henry can come back. For me, I think it starts from our ideologies. I think it starts from the fact that initially we saw music as just a cultural thing, a part of our culture. We were not looking at the business aspect of it. Yeah, we were more concerned about performing and feeling good because that's a part of it, that's a part of our culture. That's how we were seeing it initially. While in addition to that, we saw the arts as just, enjoyment. We didn't see it as business. While other countries, it was in their education system. It's a part of their business plan. It's a part of their development plan. That was what it was. And when you're studying Western music history, especially in America, it teaches that. It teaches that it was in the curriculum, in schools. Every student was doing music. It was a part of their education overall. We were just using it as a form of engagement, or enjoyment.
So we're being taught to be consumers.
Exactly.
And not being taught to
exactly.
be owners and entrepreneurs.
Right.
That benefit in several different ways from the things we create.
Exactly. So when they hear reggae, when they come in contact with reggae and come in contact with dancehall, and they come into the country and get an understanding that Jamaicans aren't so business, savvy when it comes on to this gem that they have, what reggae is, they are going to take it up. They are going to exploit it. They are going to take advantage of it. And that's where royalties leak to.
So because we don't know what we own, and because we don't know how to use what we own, what are some of the ways then, April, that we could do better as a nation and as practitioners?
Embracing our culture is key. And in embracing the culture, allowing ourselves to understand that education is literally the foundation of everything. Until we grasp those two concepts, our minds are not going to be open to the real justification and management and structure that the industry / the business really needs. I remember when I was coming up in the business, very young, very green. You made a statement a while ago to suggest that it wasn't really taught and we never really focused on the business side of things. I'm going to disagree with you on that because it was more important for us as a culture to understand that we need to charge our artists 20% for managing and we need to charge our artists 10% for booking, for anything, right? Than it was for us to understand that there's more to management and development in an artist and in the culture itself than just collecting money. I believe that greed has blinded us from the reality, and that is just my personal state. Coming up, I had many big individuals within the business that I got the opportunity to work with, all right? And most, if not all of them, I believe, were educated up until at least a degree, right? Whether they got the degree in entertainment or not, I don't know, but they were qualified enough at that point to be where they were. And they had many enough years of experience at that time too. The truth is that our leaders themselves were not equipped. They weren't knowledgeable. And I say that with it's not a negative thing, it's just reality and we have to face it. One of the reasons why I do education now is because it is important that we have to let all of that shame, from the past go.
It is okay not to know.
It's okay.
It is just not okay to continue not to know.
Thank you. And it's so rewarding to actually learn. I mean, if it's not a topic that interests you, I understand. But for me, there's nothing like sitting down and reading and learning about some of these new established and developed institutions within the industry, because it really does benefit you. You spoke a while ago, I think it was about the earning potentials. I don't think the artists realize that they are bigger than any digital and any other big name company out the road. The amount of income streams that you have or that you can create on top of the brand that you already want to represent is endless. Okay, creativity has no limits. I keep saying that in most of the sessions that we've had, but you can be the brand that builds another brand. You get what I'm saying? You are the brand, because when you look at our industry now, who is it that corporate companies go to for brand ambassadorship? Why do these big corporations want our artists, Jamaican artists, to represent them on a global scale? Because which artists go at every country in the world? Who will carry them brand? You understand what I'm saying? So you have to understand the power and the grit that you already possess before you just go out there and just give it away freely. That's my 2 cents.
Well said. So Tadipi,
Yes, sir.
I find that there is a lot of talk around some elements of the industry that we sometimes don't want to publicly admit. Like the fear of contracts and writing things down. What is your experience? And do you think that this is one of the reasons why we are not earning as we should?
Fear of contracts. I think the fear of contracts start with knowledge base. First and foremost, understanding the role of it and how you can benefit from it. Yeah, pretty much.
So do you find that artists generally are shy to put pen to paper?
Yeah, man. You say artists are creatives, and you find creative people of every kind are like that. That's what I find. And it go back to people who create want to focus on creating and not the business. And you know, things like this is very important to make people know, say, it's a music business.
So is there anything wrong with creatives wanting to create though and having somebody else focus on the business? Is there anything wrong with that?
Nothing wrong with it.
So what then is the solution? If the creatives must create and somebody else must focus on the business, how do the creatives ensure, and I know that that is going to go to April, how do creatives then ensure that the business is actually done as business?
All right, so in the early stages of development, it's one thing that I press upon everyone. When you are starting out, you have to learn about the different aspects of the business, yeah? You're not going to get all the intricacies and everything up front, but the most important thing you have to do is to have a team that understands the business. So I'll give you an example. My company is called Niche Entertainment Group Limited. We are an artist management and artist development business. We do not take any artist management clients without first developing them. In order to be developed, you have to be educated. Reason being, when you leave from my company, you cannot go to the road and tell nobody to thief you. Me never rob you nothing, me never force you to sign no document. You know why? Because we have to make sure that you're properly educated before you leave our doors. While you're in our doors, or should you want to stay within our doors, you know what we are doing. Every step of the way, you ask the questions that you need to ask to remain educated. Or we ensure that you are provided with the information on this particular topic at this particular time, so that if you have to develop any questions on your own thereafter, you can come back and say, okay, Miss April, me never understand rate, but me need to register that song and how me go about it. You understand what I'm saying? So the onus is on us as individuals, right? You want to grow up and you want to make money and you want to live a comfortable life, or you want to be rich and you want to floss. You're not going to just get there. You have to plan it out, boo. Very few people boss. We have more iron balloon at Jamaica than we have regular balloon by float. You understand what I'm saying? So you have to put in the work, and you have to prepare yourself. As I tell people all the while, you have right side and you have left-sided brain, all right? It is very rare in our business that you have someone that is both and can function on both at the same time. It's very rare, right? The truth is, creatives are not meant to manage their own business. They're not. They don't have the capacity to do it. And it's not a negative thing, by the way. They are so creative that their brain cannot focus on anything else. When them done create, them need to go sleep and eat some food. Because them energy is drained. You understand what I'm saying? So you are not meant to. That's the reason why the business was created. That's why different jobs and different titles within the business space were created, because they need to be able to function around this one artist or this one product, right? To be able to build it up. And it's a lot of work. I kid you not. You cannot do it by yourself. I don't know any artist that does, actually.
So, successfully, not successfully. So, learning the different roles is critical. What then can the education system do, Mr. Robinson?
Change our mindset when it comes on to the arts. Change our mindset when it comes on to the arts. The arts is not an extracurricular thing. It's not something and say, oh, you can do this, you can sing, you can play, you can do all of that. And leave it at that. Or give it a 1 hour in the school or, you know, an after school thought. That's not what it is. April just say, you have people who the only thing they can, the artists, the creatives, they only can use the right side of their brain. That's what, so them build. Therefore, we should put more effort into our young people, our students who are like that. The education system need to, just as though we spend time and effort and money and everything creating curricula for the different subjects, spend that same time and energy creating. And when I say spend time and energy creating it, it's not just, okay, this is what will be taught, whatever. Spend time teaching the students what the orange economy is, what the creative and cultural industry is, and how they can benefit from it without necessarily becoming lawyer, doctor, policeman, chief. Because
I also want to add to that, Tane. It's not just about putting the scholastic, the nitty-gritty, read the book, write the paper, answer the question. It's also about enforcing the practicality of the business into the teaching.
Definitely.
We have literal, physical access to talent. I can touch him. Bring them in to your institutions. Show them or allow them to show your students and speak of their own experiences in the business, because it helps to pave the way for the future.
Totally agree. Totally agree.
So there is the opportunity then for exchange, principal. There's the opportunity for exchange because in the institutions, there is pedagogy. There are systems. There is an educational process and design. There is also fresh talent, fresh mind, fresh ideas. But in the industry, there's also experience and creativity and know-how. The combination of those two is what happens when a country owns oil. The combination of those two is what happens when a country trades in diamonds. The combination of those two is what happens when a country relies on pharmaceuticals or technology. Silicon Valley thrives on industry and academy constantly exchanging
In the same space.
in the same space.
Exactly.
We have been taught to separate them because one is good and the other is bad. Or one is superior and the other one is inferior. Or one is money making and the other one is pure.
Johan, I was sharing with my Edna students the other day in survey of Jamaican traditional music that when I was at UE, I had friends who are musicians and they spend their time, they're within the industry, they perform, and whosoever was doing their computer science degree, whosoever doing their literature degree, whatever it is, and I shared about a particular friend of mine, John, who is now a composer for film and television. Him doing music, seeing him playing bass and everything, and him keyboard and piano. And he finished his computer science degree, and then he went away to do a master's in composition for film and television. There is a space where both your talents or both whatever you're interested in can be merged and form something great. It's not just, okay, you're good at piano, go to piano classes on Saturday or after class, but focus on, a career, quote-unquote career. they can exist and create something that is bigger than what you think you're focusing your child on.
Absolutely, which is why I keep saying, and I like to say this in academic spaces and training spaces, if your interest is in medicine and you exist on an island that produces some of the finest singers in the world, probably we should have more ENT specialists who understand the voice as an instrument. Do we? No, we don't. Because our system of medical training does not prioritize that. If you are interested in electronics and electrical engineering, and you live on an island whose musical sound has changed the heartbeat of the world, probably you should be going into trying to create new electronic solutions. We talk about noise abatement versus sound management and sound regulation. We should have been the people, and we probably still can be, principal, the country that produces the kind of speaker system, the kind of amplifier system that allows us to be compliant with the law and does not, even though Bob Marley suggested that he had that feeling, disturb our neighbor by turning up our disco and blowing them to full watts tonight. Probably we should have our electronic students designing electronic equipment that allows this room to feel like a club without disturbing the class next door. Because that is our reality. We have a limited landmass. Yes? Probably because we have so much creativity and because our doctors are going to create special stents and things for the voice to help to preserve it, and our engineers are going to make those things, and we have patents to register, we have works of creativity to protect, we should have the best intellectual property and entertainment law firms in this side of the world in Jamaica. But do we? There is nothing wrong with wanting to be a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, an Indian chief, all of these other things. But are we specializing in the things? We are producing teachers and specialists. But are we teaching them that the students they teach should come back to specialize in the things which we have a global advantage in? That is food for thought. And while we think about it, do we have that video? These are the reasons why JAREA exists. And when we come back, we'll wrap up.
Jamaica has always answered hardship with creativity, courage, and community. And at the center of that spirit stands the Jamaica Reggae Industry Association, JAREA, working year-round to build not just entertainment, but industry. JAREA strengthens the entertainment ecosystem from stage to studio, from classrooms to communities. We train, we advocate, we connect, treating culture as economic infrastructure that creates real jobs, real value, and opportunities for Jamaicans. We champion fair policies, professional standards, and intellectual property protection, reminding Jamaica that entertainment is not a pastime. It's a powerful economic engine, especially vital as our nation rebuilds after the storm, socially, financially, and emotionally. Through Reggae Open University and the JAREA Masterclass series, we create spaces for serious learning and skill building, exploring the business of music, history, creativity, leadership, and innovation. These programs help artists, managers, producers, and cultural entrepreneurs grow, ensuring our culture is preserved, respected, and sustainable. Our Jaria Jams events in Kingston and Montego Bay bring creatives and corporate partners together, inspiring collaboration, discovering new talent, and nurturing community in high-quality organic spaces. Each February, Jaria helps power Reggae Month. From Reggae Wednesdays to our learning forums to the tribute to Dennis Brown and more, lifting spirits, uniting communities, and celebrating Jamaica's global musical legacy. This is Jaria, organizing, educating, advocating, and celebrating. Building resilience, building industry, building Jamaica's future through culture. Join us, partners, creatives, sponsors, and community. Jaria, Rhythms of Resilience.
And so, after all of that, we are accepting that reggae belongs to Jamaica culturally. We're accepting that economic ownership, however, is an individual scenario. But if it belongs to Jamaica culturally, and economically it is individual, how do we collectively benefit from the economy? Reggae is cultural heritage. But if cultural heritage does not translate into economic resilience, we lose our culture. Because we are going to be influenced by those who are making money. Having said that, we're going to take 1 minute from each of our panelists. 1 minute each. Their takeaways from today's conversation and their recommendation. So you have 30 seconds for the takeaway and 30 seconds for the recommendation. And we will start with our homeboy.
Takeaway. Yeah. We have the opportunity to own what we create. And when we think of what intellectual property is, we have it at our fingertips. Therefore, we can be making money with it, with the right education, with knowing, understanding, and sharing with each other, just as our Jaria is sharing with us now. We have the opportunity to build on what we create. So, and you have agencies that will help us. Administrator General, what it is there? And Administrator General, right? We have JCAP, we have JAM, we have Jaria. We have the organization, we have the agency that would help us. So if we are thinking that when we write, when we create, whatever it is, that it will just stay there, it doesn't have to stay there. If to register, you say we can just go straight to National Library and submit, and it's there. We own it. So this is education we're getting. Takeaways. Recommendation. Number one, that we continue the education.
Or that we expand it.
To expand it. Exactly. Number two, that we push for partnership with the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. Because this can't just be here and the other places it has been and stream. It is there, but we don't know who and who watching it. To cover all the tracks, ensure that we are in the schools, we are at the policy-making level to ensure that this information, this education is out there for every single Jamaican, even the ones who are on the street corners playing rhythms on their phone and DJing or singing, hoping that one day they will get a bus. For the students in the classroom who, the boys or the girls, who they are not doing so well academically, but when they write a song, it's short, it sounds good, it makes sense, it sounds like poetry, that we tap into their talent and lift them and teach them all of this that we were taught today, that we discussed today. I hope I take a minute.
Thank you, sir. Yes, you're not so good with the maths, but you're very good with the English. So 1 minute became 4, but that's fine. If there are, by the way, any questions, if anyone has any question that they would like to ask, I'm going to ask you to come and stand by this column so that as soon as, pardon? Well, I mean, they're very bright students. Or raise your hand and we will come to you. So if you have a question, raise your hand now. If I don't see any, we will just complete and when we will wrap up. But in the meantime, yes, I see that hand. So I will come to you. Yeah, we will come to you, and there's a hand at the back. Is that a hand I see? You'll be afraid to testify, you know.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah. So my question is regarding the artists and the business aspect of their industry, right? So, as Miss April said, you normally have a team that work with an artist, right? So, the team who'd manage the business aspect, right? So they're supposed to ensure that the artist is registered, all their works are covered, protected in whatever way, and also that they're effectively covered and making the money that they're supposed to make, right? So say I am a new artist now, and I come up and I have my management team, right? What do I need to do? They would cover everything. Do I need to do anything else?
No. So when you're a new artist, you ain't got no money. And you don't have most of them don't have no money for the first couple of years. As I said, not all, but most ain't got no money. First of all, music is expensive. Let's just be real, okay? Between the studio time and the engineer and the musicians, and it's costly, okay? In the beginning, depending on what type of manager and what type of team you have, yes and no to your question. Depending on the team, it could be a manager that is investing in you. When I say investing, whether it's service or financial, it varies. If you were, let us say ideally, you were 4 years in, and you probably already had released let's say an album by that time, yeah? We are spending more money pumping into you and building who you are in those different aspects that the team would be managing, yeah? That we're definitely not making back that money anytime soon. We have to get upon a bigger scale to see the revenue or the return on investment at that point. So yes, remember too that your team, unless you're paying them a salary monthly for the 5 years or we're about, they might do this for free. So you know all people in Jamaica move when them out to work for free, right? So that alone answer your question. But for those of us that are professionals in the business, when we make a choice to support an artist or invest in an artist or get paid by an artist to do a service, we do the job to the same quality of work. Not because you're paying me or you're not paying me. We do it because that's just what we know how to do. So yes, you can have it covered if you have the right team around you. And that's management as well as, because remember that management manages the team and the artist, right? We oversee what the team is doing and make sure that it is actually going according to the plan that we would have already set out in stone. So does that answer your question? Wonderful. Chairman, there's a hand over there. Over that side.
Good afternoon, everyone. All right. My question is if the artist didn't write a will, who gets the benefit? If the artist didn't write a will, who gets the benefit?
Well, that is again why the Administrator General sent us this video for us to appreciate. The Administrator General is that government department that handles intestate estates. That is to say, when there is no will that instructs what is to happen with the resources, with the what we call the estate of the artist, the government, the Administrator General, gets to decide. So if you, and if your father or your uncle or your friend has content, you, your father, your mother, your uncle, your auntie, your friend, your teacher, has created content, you want them to write down what is to happen to it afterwards. In fact, if you are joint owner of content with someone, it might be important for you to let them know that they must write down what is to happen with for them portion. And you need to write down what must happen to yours. Because if that does not happen, you have something that could be called like the right of survivorship. And the last man standing will have more to say than the one who is not standing anymore. So, the artist, by the way, let us not confine our minds. I said this to a friend of mine yesterday, that these days, wills are for poor people. We must understand that we can create trusts. And trust is not like trust and obey. Right? A trust is a legal construct that allows ownership of assets and management of assets. And it gives instructions as to how the assets that are owned must be treated in life and in death. So research the concept of trusts. In the meantime, your will is the next best bet. Indeed? Principal, you have a question?
Yes, thank you. Thank you so very much.
I think that. Up?
Yes, thank you so very much. You know, I'm just enjoying the discussion. I have a question here, and I was really waiting and hoping that, you know, it would come up, but I'm going to ask it just the same. AI. If an AI system is trained on thousands of reggae recordings to produce new compositions, do the original artists have any legal claim to ownership or compensation for this AI-generated output?
Who wants to tackle that? Who wants to tackle that?
You're the only person.
So, let's take that from an IP perspective, because that's an IP question. Now, the challenge with AI being trained on thousands of existing material is that the AI is trained in a similar but more efficient way to how humans are trained, because we learn by hearing. And so we play reggae because we came to hear reggae. It didn't come from us, from us sitting here originally. We hear it, and we ideate, and we improve on or create variations of. It's the same way that AI is trained on it and does that. The challenge is, in order for these musicians on whose content AI is trained to benefit, you would have to be able to identify them, and you would have to be able to identify their contribution to that training, which is difficult to do. So, and we have a whole discussion next week on AI, and that discussion is going to be at CASE. So we're going to have a full discussion on AI, but we will make sure you have the link so you can watch it if you don't want to take a trip to Portland. But we're having an AI conversation. However, we don't need to fear AI. What we need to do is to appreciate its efficiency as a tool. The storm came, and a whole heap of AI songs come out. Interestingly, those songs, most of them have died like bamboo fire. They come out and they're nice because in the minute and the moment, it's good to hear a song that speaks to, but it doesn't carry soul. Now, if AI was used as a tool to assist in the writing process, or to assist in creating templates and demos that we then go in and add the soul of humans to, then you have material with a longer shelf life. You with me? If you listen to, every time AI is instructed to create a song, it goes chingy, 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 very dry. I don't want to use that terminology. Yes. But so we have to bear in mind then that there's a tool. In the same way, when slanting was created, there were pre-programmed rhythms in a Casio keyboard that someone was playing around with. That triggered a thought in the creator's mind. And he got a rhythm, and then he added other things to it. He added his own creativity, and then now, so you get keyboard strum add to it, and then you got these other, that is how it came about. It was not just the preset sound in the Casio keyboard. It wasn't called AI then, but that is what it was. It was computerized, right? When Sly Dunbar takes a sound, puts it in his drum machine, and then layers and layers and layers onto it, he's adding human ingenuity to the efficiency of the instrument. And so you asked a question about layers of ownership, but I'm saying bear in mind that thousands and thousands and thousands of training simply provides the seed material. It is what the human does with it, or that the AI does with it, and the instruction of the human that matters in the end. But there's another element. And if you're a writer, if you're a producer, and you're entering into contracts with record companies or with talent agencies or advertising agencies for the use of your content, or with those people who do gaming, you need to look out for contract clauses that will harm you or protect you when it comes on to the use of your work or your image and likeness in training AI. And your image and likeness includes your voice, the slangs and things you say, etc. Beanie Man says, zaga zaga zow now, 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 now. you might find that pops up in AI. We need to think about these things. And that is why, as a collective, we must use our knowledge as resource, our ingenuity as resource, so that we can all economically benefit. I hope I've answered your question, Principal. Thank you. Tidy P, you get to have the last word. Yes. You get to have the last word, and then we close out. We're going to get some live music to close? No, we're not getting the live music to close. All right, them gone, left we. So we will go back to a video reel when after Tidy P. And then it will allow for us to have collective conversation, open conversation for a couple of minutes. But I think the stream will end once we're finished with Tidy P. Yes, April? Yes. So we also have a presentation which we want to capture right after Tidy P. So before we close, and I'm going to ask Director McIntosh to make that presentation. We want to make the presentation to our guest panelist who is at home, and also to our principal from Creation Foods, who is one of our sponsors. So I'm going to ask Tidy P to give us his final words. Then we go to the presentation, and then we wrap up.
So I did music theory, which is Royal School of Music, Royal School of Music from England. Correspondent course here in Jamaica up to grade 8, which is like a doctorate in music. And through all of that study, I don't remember ever learning about what we spoke about here today, which is, the business part of it. And I think if I had learned that then, it would make me a bigger monster. So the point is, I think we should include it in the curriculum. Yeah, that's my final word.
That's takeaway and recommendation in a capsule. Give it up for Tidy P. In less than a minute. All right. So we're going to ask our Director of Education, who, by the way, has responsibility for ROUs, to make our presentation firstly to our... We're closing with the principal, man. The principal at the boss, you have to treat him... Yes. So of course, first presentation to Mr. Robinson, yes? You want to do it here? Go ahead. You want to do it here? You want me to move? I can move. Yes. So, presentation. Give him a round of applause, please. And then, of course, to our principal, who we are very grateful to. Thank you very much, Doc. This is from our sponsor, Creation Foods. There's some very interesting taglines on the content, so you can look at them. Thank you very much.
I just want to say something quickly. I hope the students will be writing a report on this ROU, because I noticed some of them left in the middle of it. I probably have to go to class and so forth. But I hope they get the chance to write a report. I'd love to see some of this report, the takeaway from it. So, yeah, please, Mr. Yes, we need the students to write a report. And please share it with us. No, they need to. Because we want to ensure that what we come here and do, that they actually gain from it. And that's just a talk shop we're having here. Very important that they give a report of what they learned here today and pass it on. Okay. Yeah.
So let me also suggest, I know you're all very tech savvy, There is nobody in this room who should not be following at Jaria Entertainment on Instagram. Facebook is for old people, and there are no old people in here. So please feel free to follow us on Instagram and interact. If there's something you learned here, something you want to know, if you want to make posts from today, please feel free to do that. And I know our Vice Chairman is going to say that you are welcome to become members.
And I lead that membership team, so come and talk to me.
Indeed. And in between or afterwards, go to www.jariaentertainment.com, click membership, and become a member. We are starting an army that will change how Jamaica views itself through our creative products. And it is not in competition with education, with industry, with politics, with law, with medicine. It is not in competition at all. What it is trying to do is to create cohesion and not competition. Thank you very much, everybody, for your time and your attention. It is good for us to be here.